Hello and welcome to Two Girls in a Pod. I'm Sharon.
I'm Christy.
One of the things is that, as we've been doing this, our podcast has kind of morphed, which I think is really cool because I think it's more of an organic thing that's happened.
I think we've always had it pretty organic, but part of the thing is we're opening up a little bit more, I think, getting more comfortable with the whole thing.
And I think in that, one of the things that we've really loved about this is talking about people's journey, that journey into self, but into wherever you're going, whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, whatever it is you're aspiring to do.
And, in doing that, one of the things is we talk in little bits and pieces about our journey. We haven't really talked very much about our journey and about how we got here, really. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
For me, I grew up in such a large family. So I have 5 brothers and 5 sisters. And even within that, it's not like we were all ever in our home together because my oldest sister is 17 years older than me. Mm-hmm. So, I was just little when she was off and having her own baby. So my niece is only like 2-3 years younger than me or something,
Right.
But I grew up on a farm. Sometimes we listen to people will say, oh, I just wanted to get out of that small town. There was, blah, blah. They have like this almost disdain for it. I didn't have that. I didn't realize how much I would appreciate it until I got older, who wants to be up at 5 o'clock, chasing the stupid cow to milk or all that crap.
I'm really grateful that was not my experience growing up.
We brought you into the mix, though.
You did.
When you're young, you just don't, they're sort of like, why am I doing this shit? You know what I'm saying? It's cold out. It's, all of these things. I'm trudging through the snow when it's winter, when it's summer, you want to go do summer things, all that shit.
It was uphill and how many feet of snow both ways to school. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, that was my story, damn it. No. But no, I think what's really interesting is I didn't really realize and didn't have the appreciation for it until later when I started to work and stuff. And I was talking to my sister one day and we talked about that, our worth ethic. Mm-hmm. I feel like we have this worth ethic and I feel like mom and dad gave that to us by all of those things that we griped and complained about as a child. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I grew up in a small town. Del Norte, Colorado, very small, but it's mostly my relatives growing up. So, we knew everybody. But
shout out to Del Norte, Colorado.
But, so we knew everybody. There was a different feel to it and all that. And I think as a family, once again, growing up in a Latin, a Latin family, it's all really familia based, So there's just so much of that I've grown to appreciate more as I've gotten older and to see the value of it and how it's valuable to me even to this day.
And I got the opportunity to see some of the value of that too and learn some things. And I appreciate it. And you're right. There is a feeling there, I feel like, among the people of the Valley that it's very, I feel like it's inviting. I mean, I always felt, as you guys always say, everybody feels muy gente. Mm-hmm. Just very friendly and personable. And I appreciated that. And of course, yes, your family did welcome me in to the whole get out there and work the farm mix. I'm really glad that you guys didn't milk cows by that time you came along.
But hey, didn't you have an experience with a cow, milking a cow when you were little?
Oh, well, when you're little, you want to be like the adults and go, my grandpa went out there with his metal bucket and I had a little tiny one. And we were just visiting, of course, because I did not grow up on a farm. I was city girl. And so we went to visit him and he had his metal bucket and I had my little one and I thought that was so cool. And I wanted to go out there and help milk the cow. And then I watched him do it and I was like, I don't want to touch that. Yeah, no, good feeling gone. He did get my hands and help me to do it. And I was like, no, don't want to do that.
It is a different feel. You have to, when you don't have a choice and you don't know the difference, you're just going to do it.
I guess.
But yeah, I'm not sure anybody sits there and says, you know what, I think I want to grow up and do that. No.
Yeah.
But You're right. You know, you came into my family and my dad really didn't care. You were a city girl. It was get out there,
Mm.
shovel,
Mhm.
dig,
Yeah.
get dirty.
Let's go get wood. You know?
My dad didn't know little pieces, you know, trees are big in circumference. And so there's this giant one and he goes, put it on the truck.
Yeah.
And Christy's looking at me and she goes, well, how are we going to do that? I said, oh, sweetie, we're going to roll it and then we're going to use everything we got, put that in the truck.
Yeah. Learned use your legs. Use your legs. Yeah.
But do you have those things, you know, even with you, you know, when you were young?
Well, my dad led by example for sure with, just that work ethic, like you say, and I appreciate that. I mean, he he was always doing something and committed to, whether it be making the town look beautiful because he was out picking up trash or those kinds of things.
Mhm.
He wholeheartedly did those kind of things, and I'm grateful for that example.
Well, that is definitely something I always remember about your dad because, you know, every time I turn around, Bob was picking up the trash on the side of the road and beautifying our neighborhood.
Yeah. Yeah.
So do you feel like that, like role modeling that worth ethic was something for you?
Yeah, became an intrinsic value, I think. Just, seeing him put in the time and effort. And, my mom too, but my mom has always changed things up. So she tried very many different kind of jobs and things like that. And so she was all over the place.
I have not seen Christy on the side of the road picking up trash though.
No.
Jonathan.
And you won't see me driving a bus. My mom, she was a bus driver for many years.
Okay, so some things we don't want to do. In fact, I have no desire to be a farmer. However, I do love growing things.
Yeah.
My mom was such an avid, oh my goodness, she could make anything grow. I'm telling you, she was just amazing. And my grandfather had a huge garden, so I come by it naturally. Thank goodness for that, because I do love to grow things. And I always tell you, if I had a place where I could have a garden, I would have a garden. I have plants, and flowers out in the yard and stuff, but I just don't have a lot of space for that. But that would be something that I would just absolutely love.
Mhm.
I have my plants in my house, which sometimes I think is too much for you.
Oh, I actually like the plants.
Just nothing to do with them. Just like to look at them. But I
Yeah.
think those are the things, when we talk about that. And sometimes when we think something's a negative, because you really did not want to move to Colorado,
I didn't, and my course could have been way different, but
but not as good.
yeah, I agree. I don't think it would have been as good. Yeah, grew up in the Quad Cities. Shout out to the QC. So right along the Mississippi. It was a neat place to grow up, I think. And I feel like there was, a lot of different cultures there and things like that. So that's cool. It's not pretty in the winter and that was my biggest complaint about living there growing up was I hated the winters there. They're getting dumped on with snow, in fact, this weekend. So
They're a little hunkered down over there.
yeah. I mean, people think of Colorado and they think cold, but it can get cold, which like it's really cold today to me, but it's interesting because I always feel like the snow doesn't stay long. The sun comes
Not
out,
here.
melts it right away. And yeah, here in Springs, I feel like it's not too bad. But where I grew up, I always tell Sharon, oh my God, I hated winter because it would snow, freeze over, and then snow again. And so when you're walking with, snow clear up to your thighs and you're falling through, it's not fun.
You're not really tall, so what was that like?
This is true. So I was waist deep and yeah. And I was just down the street from the school. So it didn't matter that the wind chill was like 60 below. You were still expected to go to school and I hated it.
I was telling her I always loved where we lived because we lived out on a farm. They wouldn't plow our road. I mean, it was a dirt road. And so we would get, a foot or two of snow, whatever it was. And so the bus couldn't come down. So anybody out in the country got snow days. So
Mm.
kids in town were not happy, but we were.
How convenient.
I know.
That's a perk I missed out on, I guess. But But then I came to Colorado and when you're younger, you don't have
Kicking
the
and screaming.
yeah, you don't have the same appreciation for, oh, the beauty there and all that kind of stuff. No, I was thinking, I know everybody here. I grew up here. I don't want to leave my friends, all those things. So I was digging my heels in and I was like, I'm going to stay here. Give me a roommate. I'll just stay here in Illinois, even though I didn't like the weather.
Yeah.
But I thought Colorado doesn't sound any warmer. So why am I going there?
I think your idea was to move. It was going to be with palm trees.
Yeah, that was my thought. So since that didn't happen, but yeah, we came out to Colorado. My parents bought an apartment complex, and that's how I met you. They were landlords and such. So, I mean, if I hadn't come out to Colorado, that wouldn't have happened. So sad.
And we wouldn't be here doing this wonderful podcast.
Yeah.
And I think that just goes to show that sometimes I think in our minds we have this idea of what our life is going to be because we're so limited or we don't expand out that.
Mhm.
You know, and I remember growing up, even in the valley, I didn't sit there and think, I'm going to travel.
Mhm.
You know, we didn't travel a whole lot. You know, I'll have to remember, try hauling around that many kids on a trip, a vacation. Woo!
Need a pretty big vehicle.
I think we need a bus. No.
Oh, yeah.
But so it wasn't even one of those things, that I sat there and said, oh man, this is something that I would really eventually love to do and would become such a passion for me, and now getting out of it was actually when I was in high school, my sister was in a car accident. So I went to stay with her and I had to get in a plane for the first time, which was, and talking about stubborn just a little bit, my dad takes me and he's giving me a hard time and like teasing me. And, I was already having anxiety about getting on this plane because I was going, I didn't know the person who was meeting me, nothing, I'm just like, okay, I'm going to go do this. Woo. So I go. And so then I got a window seat because he was teasing me and I shouldn't have got a window seat because first time flying, I didn't, it was just horrible. But I landed in Atlanta, which was a big place from, I just hadn't seen this, then we drove from Atlanta up to North Carolina. And that exposure was so amazing to me because I saw the ocean. Prior to that, I got to see Myrtle Beach and all of those things. So I had this exposure, which then it was like, oh my God, there's a whole nother world out there,
And that's the thing, sometimes our journey leads us on unexpected adventures. And then it becomes, a part of our story. And sometimes it's such a positive, and it may not look like that to us at first. We resist that. But I mean, look where we are today. I'm so happy.
Yes. And, I think it's, I think oftentimes, with parents as children, we don't understand they're trying to teach us these life lessons. We think that we're just child labor, free child labor. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you don't understand and appreciate it. And I always have this memory of we had harvest. So we were growing alfalfa. And so it was my sister Alice, Sarah, Linda, my brother Mike, I think my brother Vernon, my sister Maria was not there. I don't know. Anyways, it was us. And as a reward for bringing in the hay for the alfalfa, Dad said, go to the drive-in. Oh my goodness. We were hot shit, man. Oh yeah. So we go and we called it our Corvette. It was like an old, I don't even know what the car was. They don't make them anymore. And so we're driving. It's raining. The windshield wipers don't work. My sister Alice is driving. We're trying to.
And how many of the 11 are in this car?
Not all of us were there.
Oh, thank goodness.
But you know what? We didn't even care. It was just such a fun time because it was the reward. It was the payoff. And it didn't have to be a lot, but it felt so good.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I'm learning on this journey is that sometimes we think a reward is, or the payoff is this grandiose thing. And sometimes it's not. Even for us, and I know this might sound funny, is even with our podcast, we have a gratitude statement that for all of our followers weekly.
Mhm.
We get one more follower or subscriber. You would think we had hit the lotto.
Yeah.
We're doing our happy dance and
Yeah.
but that's what I mean. I think there is so much to that. And I think that's learning those things of what it is that we have gratitude for. And it's those little things. And it's really starting to put those things together, being here and growing up when we would drive through Springs. I was like, "Oh, I don't like Springs. I don't even know why I didn't like Springs. Maybe it was because I was going to a doctor or something. That might be it. But anyway, I remember saying that. And then when I got the job in Springs, I was like, oh God, we gotta go to Springs. And now it is my home and I love it. I love the connections we have here. I love the work that we do. I love my office. I absolutely love our home.
There are many local businesses that we love to frequent. And yeah, we've lived in a few different places throughout Colorado over time. And my appreciation for Colorado and just its beauty has, grown exponentially over time. But I feel like that Colorado Springs feels like home. And I have said that more than any other place we've been.
And I think it's interesting because I remember a conversation that we had, and you were saying that you kind of wish your dad was still here because now, as you've lived in Colorado, but why is that? What is it?
My dad really appreciated the mountains. He loved the mountains of Colorado. And I do wish that he was still here too. Well, for many reasons, but just to share that with him and that appreciation. And you and I, go hiking now and things like that. And I think that those are all things that he would have enjoyed, but that I didn't really do with him. I mean, he worked a lot throughout my entire life. It didn't matter when he retired, he kept on trucking. So he was always busy doing things.
And he had a love of animals and
Oh,
that
yeah.
nature piece that you've really grown to appreciate and to just, it resonates with you now.
Right. Yeah. So I really do wish that I could share some of these experiences with him now.
But I feel like, you've even talked about that there's still now this different kind of connectedness even with him because of that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So once again, that journey that brought you to here, where even though he's gone, you can still feel that,
Mm-hmm.
if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, I wish that we could have those conversations, but yes, I think when we're outside, especially in nature and that, I can feel his presence. You know what I mean? Because I feel like that these are all things that he would have enjoyed so much.
And I agree, my parents always loved nature and things like that. And so sometimes I'll, when we're going to somewhere new, we'll even say, oh man, mom and dad would like this, or oh, dad would like this, and those kind of things. And even on this journey, it's kind of cool that we've, even like with your mom and brother, we got to go experience different things with them that I don't know if they would have done. It's kind of things just change that are outside of our control.
So I have always found it interesting that my mom's family, they come from a very small town in Alabama, and many of them still live there to this day. Didn't venture outside of those areas very much. And then some of them, maybe traveled for jobs because some of my family was in the trucking industry. And so did some of that kind of traveling, but home was always the small town place. And I appreciate that about everybody. If it's home and that's where you want to be, then definitely that's where your heart is. And I think that's great. But I love that with my mom and my brother, even some of my cousins, we've taken some time to take some trips with them and go see the ocean and all of those kind of things, places that they probably wouldn't have gone on their own, as you said.
I think it's kind of cool that we, on this journey of ours, we've been able to expose them to other things, and really love that when we had the twins.
Yeah, my little cousins, they're twins. They're not so little anymore. They're turning 16 this year. Oh
I
my
know.
gosh.
And times. But you know what? That was one of the things, even for holidays and stuff, we talked about how do we give them something that's memorable in those experiences? Because, and sometimes it's economic, sometimes there's all of these things, and it's neither positive nor negative. It's not good or bad. It's none of that. It's circumstance.
Right.
Okay. And I am so grateful that on this journey, and especially where we've been, we have been able to afford those luxuries and those things. And it was so fun to see them because our first was we were closer to the East Coast. So we went to Panama City and got to see them, but even their evolution and their journey. So when we go to Panama City, Courtney, nothing to do with the ocean. Haley, she wants to be out there with us. We're out in the waves. We're having this great time.
Yeah.
Fast forward, we go to see my sister in California and spend the holiday with her.
And we go to Laguna Beach.
Yes. And we have this flip.
Yeah.
Courtney out there wants to be in the waves with us. Haley, I ain't going out there.
It's interesting, I feel like, with twins, because a lot of times they do flip with things. Like there'll be certain things they're adamant about when they're, a certain age, and then and one will be the opposite. And then you go a little bit down the road and they completely flip.
Exactly. But just that experience of them seeing those two places. And you know what I love about travel with other people is you get to see and experience it through their eyes.
Yeah.
And that has been something that I love about this journey and about the places we've gone. And we have this sleeve tattoo, and this is a montage to
Our mini trips to Las
Vegas and the different people we've went. So we each has a representation. The twins have a representation on that because we took them to Vegas too. They freaking loved it.
Yeah, they wanted to live on the strip.
So you don't get to live on the strip.
Nobody lives on the strip.
No, maybe somebody does. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it was such a cool thing. And I hope that we expose them to something that might lead to a passion with them, because we never know, and especially when we're with other people, just as I never knew, flying for the first time. And that would be one of those things, where it would be something that would change something for me.
Mm-hmm.
That's the cool thing. The people that we encounter add something to our lives, or hopefully we add to theirs as well.
Definitely. And there's been numerous places that, maybe I've gone to alone or with my family in the past that I wanted to revisit with you, because like you say, you get to experience it through someone else's eyes. And I love that. I appreciate it. And give you a little piece of what I experienced, when I was younger, what
that was really cool.
Wanted
The
to
House on the Rocks.
Yes.
That was really cool.
That was one of the places that I was thinking of. If nobody's heard of it, I don't know. But it's a house that was built by Frank Lloyd Wright, and it's called House on the Rocks. I can't tell you the exact location of it, but anyway, look it up. It's a really cool place and very interesting. I mean, very unusual.
A lot of stuff in there, man.
Yeah.
It's amazing stuff. And very historic stuff too. So
Yeah.
it was really a neat thing. I really appreciated getting to see that, because you had talked about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when we can share those things, I think that's another thing that's really kind of cool to me is because that shows me the journey that you've been on.
Right.
And I get to see a part of that past, and how it played a role, just like, with you, I've taken you to different places in the Valley that have been, important to me. We've been to different places in New Mexico because my mom's parents lived in New Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we were when I was in MFLAC, we were in Fort Riley, Kansas. And so we got to go back to where my grandparents are actually, my mom's parents are actually buried and stuff. So it's been a neat thing. And I think that our journey is not written in stone.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a really cool thing is there are so many paths that we can take. And we can take a path and we can say, this isn't it for me. And we can redo it. And that's the beauty of our journeys. We don't know what's going to take us to that next exciting place in our life. But sometimes we have such a fear of it.
Yeah. And I think that you have to have some flexibility and, you know, just get comfortable in that and realize that, you know, the way that you saw things happening may not be the way that it plays out, but it may play out to even something better than you realized.
Especially you moving to Colorado.
Yes. That was a wonderful thing. So I'm really grateful that my parents, you know,
Because I think the
said,
other,
no, you can't stay here. Yes, I was 18, but no, you can't stay.
they won.
Yeah.
But I think even like you talked about the San Luis Valley.
Yeah. And I had no idea, no concept of the San Luis Valley. When I came to Colorado, I had never heard of that. We moved to the Grand Junction area, which Mesa State is there, and I was attending college, but I somehow found out about the sister college, which is Adams State, which is Adams State University now, in Alamosa, which is in the valley. And I don't know, I just became fixated on the idea of finding out more about this school and just started looking into it and then end up making a trip down to the valley. And I thought, you know what? I don't know why, but I think I'm going to live here one day. And I wouldn't have guessed that because it's not a big place. It's not like some place that I would aspire to move to. I just,
And she wasn't enamored with me yet.
I know, I didn't even know you yet. So that's interesting because you came from there and I didn't even know you at that time. So it's really interesting how our paths twist and turn and, you know.
Well, I think that's kind of cool, because even in the twisting and the turning of that, your bachelor's degree is from Adams State University and my master's is from Adams State University. So we both get to be alumni of that. And that's another piece of that connectedness. You know what I mean? It's such a fun thing when you sit back and you really take that time to look at your journey. And I don't know if people do that.
Yeah.
But taking that time to sit back, and I think, we do that more and more now. We kind of reflect more back on that. And, what were those things that we learned that we didn't think were valuable? And we find the value in those if we pause.
Yeah.
We have to pause and do that. So, hopefully as you're listening to this, some of you will sit back and say, oh my God, what was that pivotal moments in my journey that I didn't really give thought to or have gratitude for? Because I think the more we do that, the more it enhances the journey that we're already on.
Yeah. What were those moments that you totally kicked against it and then found out it was one of the best things?
Like the universe knew better.
Yeah. Sometimes that happens.
I think that's what it is. We get to this place, and I hope that more and more people are getting to that, because I think sometimes we spend so much time holding on to the negative that we forget what came out of it. We forget what that potential is. We don't realize the potential in things, because if you stay there and you get here and you're still kicking against it and never look around at what you have now, you would have stayed stuck in a very different place.
Right.
And
I don't think it would be as beautiful as what I feel like this is.
Exactly. And if I had sat there and continued with this made up idea in my head about Colorado Springs that I don't even know where it came from, maybe it's because it was too big of a city, because I was little, and I was from this little teeny tiny town. And then, Springs even then wasn't that huge, but it was still bigger than where I came from. I don't know if there was something of that. You know what I mean?
I still think it was because you were going to the doctor or something like that you didn't want to attend.
I don't know, but I remember we had to drive through Springs because my oldest sister lived in Denver, in the suburb of Denver. So I don't know if it was even that. It just seemed like it went on forever. You know what I'm saying? Now, you get to Springs and then you're in Denver in no time. And there's almost it's all being filled in between. But before it wasn't, it was just like, oh God, this is boring. I guess as a kid, I don't know.
Yeah.
I always loved going to my sister's house because she made the biggest pancakes. She was a great cook. Oh my goodness. But anyway, you'd go back to food. But that's what I mean. I don't know if it was part of that or whatever it was, but I'm glad I didn't hold on to that idea and sit there and say, you know what, I said this when I was little, I'm going to stick to this or whatever. I'm so glad I didn't, because like you, I feel like we are in such an amazing, wonderful place. And I am so grateful for it all the time. And Colorado Springs is my home.
Yeah.
And I appreciate it. We love supporting, like you said, local things. And being a part of the community. So hopefully, as you're listening today, you guys all take that little stroll down memory lane and see what resonates with you and have gratitude for the journey you're on and for the journey you've been on this whole entire time and understanding all the contributions that it's made to your life,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And as always, we are so grateful for our listeners, our subscribers, and likes, followers, whatever it is that one does out there in this new age of electronics and then social media. We love it. We appreciate it. And we thank you always. And as always,
You can find us on YouTube, Adventures of Two Girls in a Pod Life's Journey. You can find us on any app that you listen to your podcasts. Go listen, subscribe, follow, and we appreciate it.
and we look forward to being back next week. We appreciate it, everybody who are in these cold states, but it sounds like everything's getting a little cold and weird these days. So stay warm, keep each other warm,
Stay safe.
Absolutely. Thank you. Talk to you guys next week.